I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about avoidants secretly want your attention.
Ooh, secretly.
This is an interesting email I've got to share with you today. This is from an avoidant who talks about their experience in their relationship. And you're going to see a lot of the anxious avoidant trap in this one.
Okay.
So these kind of videos are very helpful for you guys to see patterns, because the more you see these patterns, the more you're going to be able to change things and, internalize the issues that you likely were having in your relationship and then do something different. Okay. So this is someone that just sent me this email the other day. They sent me a couple emails and I said, put it all together in one email and let me share it with people. They said, Craig, I am doing your knowledge workbooks and just happened upon a question that really highlighted what our problem was. How might a person with an avoidant attachment style want attention?
And I like this question because attention gets such a bad rap. I think when we think attention, there's a lot of negative connotations to it, that somebody's maybe being selfish or self-centered, but attention is a basic human need, right? We all need attention to some degree. Now, of course, there's extremes.
Sure.
In every area, right? But an avoidant person, somebody with a more avoidant attachment style, wanting attention is something that sounds normal and healthy to me. Now, how they go about getting it is a good question.
Well, we're going to see an interesting dynamic play out here. She says, I am an avoidant. I want just as much love and affection as you do.
Wow.
Secretly, I may need it even more than you.
Wow.
When I feel you are upset with me, I become desperately despondent. My whole world starts to collapse and crush me. All I want is for you not to be mad at me and love me. Very interesting to hear an avoidant say that, right?
And very insightful.
However, I don't know how to be weak and tell you that. So I get mad at you for being mad at me. I get upset with you for not seeing how desperately I need you. I get madder. Okay, so this feels to me like a struggle that an avoidant had with their caregivers, not getting their needs met from their parents. As kids, we kind of expect our parents to know what we need, right? Parents are supposed to know what their children need, when they're hungry, when they need to get changed, when they need to go to bed, when they need to get picked up. You have to know these things, right? And so I think a lot of avoidants grew up in homes where they didn't get that. So now they're hoping that their partner can do those things that their parent didn't do for them.
Yeah, I totally can see that being the background here. It may or may not be. Our background and our upbringing has a lot to do with our future and current relationships. So looking at some of these patterns of behavior and thinking, where did this come from? What's the root? These are really important questions.
Okay. Understand this could happen in a matter of hours. I start getting nasty with you. That meanness gets worse and worse until I lose it. Once I lose it, I lose it. When I lose it, I get so upset, I feel like I'm going to explode. Now, for me, this sounds like someone who may be more dismissive avoidant, right? That you see a lot of the anger come out with people that are more dismissive avoidant, more fearful avoidance, kind of more shut down more, right? They're not so mean. You hear a lot of the dismissive avoidant that they're dismissing, they're mean, they're colder. they're really hurt and they're angry. It's building up inside of them, right? They explode. If I explode, I am going to say the meanest, most hateful things that come into my head. I will hurt you. I don't want to hurt you, so I walk away. Now, that sounds like a dismissive avoidant to me.
I could see it.
This is what happens a lot of times. The anxious person doesn't want to leave that avoidant alone. They want to talk about it. They want to deal with it. This is what I'm trying to teach you guys. This is why, I want you to do the course and the workbooks where it teaches you this is not the time. But if you can't soothe yourself, you're going to keep relentlessly pushing the avoidant. Right. When you're in a better place emotionally and more mentally centered, you're able to walk away and say, all right, I know not to bother her right now. I know not to bother them right now. It's only going to make it worse.
Right. And you can see that a lot of her behaviors are coming from self-preservation. Initially, she said, it's really tough for somebody to be mad at me and for me to just sit with that, right? It becomes immediate defensiveness. It becomes really difficult to deal with. And so then that person starts conjuring up things that could be very hurtful to say to the other person. It could be nitpicking, it could be criticizing, and instead they're saying, well, this is going to turn really ugly, this is not going to be helpful, this doesn't deserve my energy, I'm walking away and just shutting down.
Yep.
So you can see that pattern that really stems from, I need to protect myself.
Yeah. They're saying, I know I'm going to be mean. I don't want to be mean, but I got to walk away, and you're not going to let me walk away. That's what happens with a lot of times with the anxious avoidant trap. The anxious can't let them just be alone for a little bit. But if you can take that moment where you're feeling this overwhelming desire to talk to them and just let it be, you will see a lot of the dynamic can change. Okay. You chase me. I can't get away from you to pull myself together. I need a minute. Just a few gosh darn minutes. You won't give them to me. I explode. It almost sounds like she's writing this to her partner.
It sounds like it's happening in the moment.
Yeah.
I feel like we're there with her.
I think we are. I hate myself. The more this happens, the more I hate myself. Eventually, no matter how much I love you, I have to walk away. And here's where you see a lot of the guilt, right? I know I shouldn't have treated this person that way. I know you didn't deserve that. I keep doing it to you. You deserve better. You ever have a partner say you deserve better? Might be one of the reasons.
And you can also see that internalized shame in play here. You could see how there's shame for experiencing those emotions, whether they are of anger, whether they are of weakness or sadness or whatever it might be. You can see that there's that hatred geared towards self. I'm not worthy, I'm not deserving, or I'm shameful somehow for feeling these types of things to begin with. So it's interesting to see that.
Yep. It kills me to do so, but I hate myself. I have to get away from the pain. Moral, just give me a few precious minutes. I will come back to you. This is one of the major lessons you have to learn if you're going to date someone that's avoidant. They need space. They want your attention, but when they get into this mode, they have to have space. You can hear what happens. And this cycle continues, but both people have to work at trying to break it.
Right, and I'll say that it's relative too. This is this person's experience. For this person, they're saying they just need a few moments, a few minutes to kind of gather themselves and get it together. For other people, they might need more time, they might need less time. So it's all going to depend on your partner. It's all going to depend on knowing them. This person seems pretty self-aware. I'm hoping that this person is able to communicate these things to whoever they're with. And we're hoping that your partners are able to communicate that to you too.
Yeah, this is very helpful. But if you're anxious and you're watching this, you're seeing, oh, wow, if I leave them alone, I'm not going to be abandoned. It's going to be more likely that they come back sooner and the fights are less intense and explosive, right? I will kiss you and hug you and tell you how much I love you. I will take the blame for everything that happened. Just love me despite my failings and I will stay forever. Okay, well, I'm not sure I agree with that last sentence. I have to be honest. love me despite my failings and I will stay forever. I'm sorry to say, we don't get kind of love that from our romantic partners. That's the kind of love you're supposed to get from your parents. Mm-hmm. You can't just say all these mean and hurtful things and expect them to stay forever.
Right.
That's not realistic and it's not fair. I'm just going to abuse you forever. You don't mind, but stay forever.
I'm not sure if this person said those things. It sounded like they had left before they were able to do that. But even still, even the words, I will stay forever, you can kind of see the bit of black and white thinking there. Mm-hmm. You know, this relationship's going to completely crumble if I don't get my space, or if I have this space, then, you know, I'm going to adore you and just latch onto this. So you can see that black and white. And maybe a more tempered approach might be, I thrive when I'm given some more space. You know, I'm able to process my emotions when I'm given more space, and able to give more to this relationship when given more space.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it. Mm-hmm. But you can't have this mindset that you can treat your partner however you feel in the moment and think that they should stay forever. That's not fair to anybody.
Right. And there's some people who are on a no avoidant list, you know, who will not date any more avoidance.
Sure.
As much as, you know, they try, some of them still sneak in there. It's like a no-fly list.
You gotta really understand this stuff. That's why, that way, if you're not interested in dating someone who's avoidant again, you gotta know this stuff. Because they're not gonna come to you and say,
hi,
I'm avoidant. Nice to meet you.
Right.
They're gonna say, you're so wonderful and perfect and amazing, and I've never felt this way before. And next thing you know, you're on the phone with me, and I'm telling you that they're avoidant. And you're like, how did this happen?
Right.
Well, it's totally up to you if you're interested in dating someone who's avoidant or anxious. There's going to be challenges with dating anybody.
Right.
So, you know, pick your poison, right?
Right.
The first one that comes to mind seems small and insignificant, but it has stuck with me for months. Okay, so this is an incident that they had. I asked for examples of when maybe she felt like she really struggled, and this was an example she gave. I have PTSD and panic attacks. We were cleaning the kitchen. We have a small kitchen. The dishes were starting to pile up. I started to feel claustrophobic. That is one of my triggers. I said to him, baby, I'm starting to have a panic attack. He ignored me. I tried to take deep breaths and continue chopping vegetables. I got worse. I said it louder again and more desperately. He snapped at me. I told you to get out of my kitchen. That came out of nowhere. I walked into the bedroom and slammed the door without saying a word. I started to take deep breaths. I feel myself starting to calm down. He barges into the room and starts telling me to look at him. He is trying to meet my eyes. He is saying, baby, look at me. Look at me. Take deep breaths. But I can't look at him when I feel like this, and I can no longer take deep breaths with the pressure of his need for me to do so. What he needed was greater than what I needed. So the avoidant is feeling pressured even when he's trying to help soothe her and say, just take deep breaths. And she's like, why are you worried about me taking deep breaths? I'll do what I want to do. Stop being pushy.
And at this point, you know, she probably already felt some type of way about him telling her to get out. So there's probably already that shutdown happening, already her being unreceptive to him trying to help her because of that. So, you know, it seems like a bit of a complicated situation.
Sure. I lose it. And again, same insignificant moment after insignificant moment after another. I can't speak for anyone else, but I try very hard not to get upset with the people for not meeting my needs if I haven't told them what those needs are. Well, that's great. This is what I was talking about earlier with intuit. When you're trying to intuit someone else's needs, we have to be able to communicate. And avoidance, we're told in various ways and shapes and forms, we don't care what your needs are. We don't care what you want. We'll give you something to cry about. That's what they heard growing up. So they don't want to talk about those needs because they were traumatized, right? So it's difficult. It's not easy to work through that. I would say the best way to handle an avoidant is to have an open conversation when no one is emotional about boundaries and expectations. Example, I need constant small reminders I am loved. Maybe text me a heart or I love you regularly. And I think that's a great point. When anybody's heated or upset or in that state, you don't want to be having these conversations about, it would be helpful if you did that, it would be helpful if you did that.
Right.
People are just too emotionally triggered in that moment.
Right. You know, I wonder how she would handle emotional conversations, however, right? Because sometimes as emotions come up, it's important to talk about them. It's important to be able to express emotion to your partner and receive your partner's emotions sometimes too. You know, being able to listen to them, acknowledge them, so on and so forth. So I like where she's coming from, saying, okay, let's try to be clear-minded about this. And, you know, working on skills to be able to self-soothe, to be able to work when your partner is emotional too, can be helpful.
Yeah. I think she's really new to the channel, and I think she just started the workbooks, but she's starting to get the insight here and starting to see these patterns. And the way she writes it is like literally she's talking to us in that moment in time, which feels very intense.
Yeah.
Right? Because it feels like we're living it with her in that moment. So it can be helpful for you guys to put yourself in that avoidance situation, which is saying, I care. I know I'm going to do this. I don't want to do this. But if you just back away, I can calm down. And when I do, I'm going to admit what I did wrong here. And I want your love and affection again. You know, that's what it really sounds like she's trying to say. If I get space, she says here at the end, when things get heated, I need space. Allow me an hour. And after an hour, I need more time, I'll tell you. I will not take more than 24 hours. Okay, that's her.
Right. I was going to say not avoidance work like this, but yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's helpful to hear somebody's experience, what they're going through, when you might be thinking they don't love you or they don't care. Right? There's a lot going on underneath it. Now, it doesn't mean you should tolerate it. Like I said earlier, I don't want people to be tolerating being mistreated or abused or anything like that. So we want you to be in healthy situations, and it seems like that's something that she's working on.
And I would say for those of you who are avoidant or more on the avoidant side of things watching this, being able to communicate the fact that you need space to your partner is paramount, right? Because when somebody is left in the dark, it feels really treacherous.
Absolutely.
You know, you start to spiral. It makes that person 10 times more anxious. You get stuck in that anxious avoidant trap, which you had mentioned earlier. And so being able to verbalize, hey, I need an hour. Hey, I need 15 minutes. Hey, I need a day or two to just be able to decompress, to be able to do my chores, to be able to brush my fluffy cat, whatever it might be, right? So that I can feel centered, feel like I'm independent, feel like I'm on top of the things that I need to get done, then that can go really, really far. Sometimes that's all it takes, really, to be able to find that healthy balance in a relationship.
And I think this is just a really helpful example for many of you that maybe are avoidant yourself, and maybe this will help you say, yes, I feel the same way, or dated someone who has these issues, and it makes you see, oh, wow, there's a lot more going on with them than I realized or that I thought. And so I think it was a really insightful email to share with you guys. Hopefully you found it helpful. Of course, if you want to get our help personally, you can do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.